This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
I could be wrong about this, but Tom Murphy might have broken something during the Falcons and Patriots Super Bowl a few years back. Tom, you
ever thrown the remote?
Is that when your anger level reached the highest point you've ever had watching a sporting event?
You guys are cracking me up. I enjoyed that repartee right then before I came on. When we lost the coin toss, I stood up, and I knew we were going to lose on the first drive. And as soon as James White, I believe, caught the screen pass, whatever he did, and it was heading for the end zone, I turned off the TV and I hooked up the dog, and I started walking outside because I'm mature like Chuck, man. I'm not going to throw the remote.
Yeah.
But I tell you, guys, Game 7 of the 1991 World Series with the Twins had an unexpected visit from a family member who brought a dog in the house. Ooh. And all I wanted to do was be by myself watching Game 7.
That's brutal.
And we lost it. And I still pin that on that incident.
It's the dog's fault, right, Tom?
Sometimes you just got to...
Inconsiderate friend or relative. Yeah. I mean, my God.
Someone who did not know about baseball. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
man.
Sometimes all you can do is grab the dog and go for a walk and have a talk with God to get through that moment. That's pretty much all that will solve it.
Yeah, and that's what I had to do. I just had to get away.
Why?
That Super Bowl was the most painful athletic thing I've gone through because it looked like the Falcons had it. My gosh.
Well, Tom, we got the depth chart earlier this week. We've heard from Sam Pittman already 4 times this week, 3 times yesterday. What was one of the biggest takeaways that you took away from his 3 media stints?
Yeah, I guarantee you Sam's about talked out for this because, boy, it started at Little Rock, and then he spoke up here, and then he had the radio show with Chuck. Well, that was even last week. He's talked so much the last couple of weeks. I just think the linebacker situation is going to be really interesting. Like how healthy is Pooh Paul? They want, how much reps they want to give him in this game, and then will Antonio Greer even play? I mean, Sam said yesterday he thinks he will. So the depth chart on that one's everywhere. There's some others. What's going to happen with the offensive line situation? We spoke to Sam on the SEC call and then a Zoom yesterday, and he didn't mention Brady Latham, who just got back to practice Tuesday, and then last night with Chuck, he said he's not sure about Brady Latham. So my guess is they're going to hold Brady Latham out. So, that causes a shuffle. Josh Braun probably the left guard, Tyquise Crawford the right guard. But there's a few other things in the secondary. Here's the thing. We expect Arkansas to win by a decent margin, and we expect the backups to be able to play, and I think we're going to see a lot of guys in this game.
You mentioned the linebacker. Brad Spence is a name not a lot of Razorback fans know, young freshman out of Mississippi. He's in the 2 deep, at least on the depth chart. What are you expecting from him on Saturday?
Yeah, I think Brad's from Texas, though, because I ended up talking to his coach for our Hog Future series, and I got a really good impression from Brad Spence. He wants to be an entrepreneur, have his own business, and this is what he's thinking about at age 19. But he did not have he was injured for much of spring ball, but he has really come on strong. And Sam Pittman said after one of these scrimmages that he was just running sideline to sideline making plays. So if they get out to a handy margin, I think we'll see a lot of him in the second half on Saturday.
From KJ, what's the line people need to be looking for? How many pass attempts, completions, how many run attempts and yards, touchdowns? What besides just winning the game do fans need to expect from KJ in a game of this nature to open the season?
Well, you would like to think that the call to runs for him, the quarterback draws and stuff that you probably don't need or hope that you don't need in this game. But if there's some key 3rd and 5 at some point, he might just do it on his own if the read he has shows that he can get to the edge or somewhere up a gap. But I wouldn't think that he would run a whole lot. Passes, 20-something passes maybe. You don't mean to demean an opponent or anything, but Arkansas has had such a hard time getting big leads in games like this and playing all their reserves that I'm thinking maybe this is the time. And then I start looking at Western Carolina about their potential for hitting their bubble screens and their intermediate passes and giving Arkansas some trouble. And then I start to wonder, will this be a blowout? But I don't know. I certainly want to see a lot of Jacoby Criswell in this game. And if things go really well, maybe you even see third-team quarterback.
Tom Murphy with us on the McLarty Daniel Hotline. What will be the noticeable differences, in your opinion, after seeing as many practice viewings as you've had? What will be the noticeable difference for fans on Saturday in the Dan Enos offense versus what we've seen the last few years with Kendall Briles?
Yeah, right. A few thoughts there. Pace of play might be a little different. They're going to huddle more often, or I don't know how frequently they're going to huddle, but they will huddle. With the first downs, with the clock moving, I think we're going to see a few less plays, but that's, of course, across the board. Obviously he's throwing to a whole lot of new guys. I mean, I would suspect that other than a couple of throws to the backs, and maybe, Satania or Stevens here and there, Jaden Wilson, there's going to be a lot of catches by the Andrew Armstrongs and Isaac Teslas and the Luke Hazes of the world, and, Varkey's Gums and some of these other guys. So those will be different. And then, obviously, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on what happens with the O-line. Is Andrew Chambly going to start at left tackle? It's starting to look that way, but they want to give Devin Manuel a chance too. And you got a new guy like Braun moving around. Crawford should get more playing time in this game. And then what will Patrick Kudus look like at right tackle? So there's a lot of things to keep an eye on.
Seems like that every guy you ask, whether it's Pittman or one of the offensive players, they're complimentary of Patrick Kudus. They're saying that guy's not really a redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore in the beginning. He plays much older than that. Is that what you're reading into it based on what you're watching in practice? Is he done enough for you to have confidence in him being a young right tackle?
Well, we just haven't seen enough of the open viewing to say, yeah, he's going to get it done, because we know that D-line has really caused some havoc. But the way they've talked about him, and even defenders talk about Patrick Kudus, he's got athleticism for his size. Obviously, he passes the Sam Pittman eye test for the ankles and the feet, the things he looks at to make a good offensive lineman. So Western Carolina's got some newer talent, but they're not going to have SEC-level talent. And I think the true test is going to be in a few weeks when they go to LSU. But hopefully for him and Devin Manuel and Chambly, they can gain confidence in their performance in these next few games and be ready to take on an SEC schedule.
All right, Tom, last one, and we'll let you go. I know a lot's going to be said about the crowd on Saturday and the size there is or isn't at the game. We've been told around 40,000 tickets have been sold. What are you expecting Saturday from the crowd and the attendance with now the noon start?
Yeah, probably about what they're estimating, and I don't know what walk-up might be, what it might look like. It's going to be a hot day, obviously. But, Kerwin Bell, I think he's probably watched that Mike Leach video or just heard through the grapevine what a loud place Little Rock can be. And, I think the fans will represent. We've heard people talking about, hey, show up, Little Rock. So maybe in the 40,000.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts.